Hey everybody, this is a Great Johannes speaking at the Great JMK on TikTok, also at the Great Johannes on YouTube. I was supposed to start at 8 p.m. It's 10 past half 8, so it's 7:40 or so. So I'm 20 minutes early, but that's okay. I'll just do an extra long show. Maybe I'll do 1.5 hours or so. I've prepared some topics to talk to you about. I have this little cheat sheet of 6 totally unrelated topics that I wanted to talk about, and some random stuff I'll mix in. So this is my. I used to do like proper podcasts where I did like a 15 or 20 minute story, like a TEDx talk, and then I would post those to YouTube. That's my official podcast. I kind of like phased those out unconsciously because I switched to doing these live stream shows, which at first I didn't know how to do very well. First time I tried a live stream, I was pretty much upset that I didn't know what I was doing. But that was like a year ago already. I feel I have acquired a ton of experience speaking live, and I'm able to entertain an audience for more than an hour on end. Though usually after an hour or so, I seem to dry up in terms of topics to talk about, and my voice may be tired. Maybe that requires some more. Oh, Charlie, yeah, you have to cook dinner. Okay, good luck, man. No problem. Cool. Nice that you were here. So I'm gonna discuss all sorts of topics, and maybe when I'm done talking, I might add some guests for chats or whatever. I guess first thing I want to talk about very briefly. How are you? Yeah, I'm doing fine. What I talk about very briefly is I was reading this book. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Oh, it's mirrored, right? So the title is, this is a part of another book. It's called The Cult of Odin, God of Death. And I was just interested in the origins of Odin. So you all know Odin as the chief god of Valhalla in the Viking lore, right? Thank you. But Odin is an older god, older than that. The Vikings were acquainted with Odin, obviously, but Odin himself is probably a native European god of death originally. So it started out as a god of death. It's the reason why you would normally not call Odin by his name Odin. You would use any other phrase like battle god, rider god, death god, but not say Odin, because that word literally meant to wish death upon somebody. You wouldn't want to invite death into your home, so you don't talk about Odin. So the way we talk about Odin nowadays, that's absolutely unacceptable in say the 6th, 7th century Germanic territories. They would not call this god by its name. It's like inviting death to your house. You don't want that. But I was interested in, just briefly, I wanted to talk about this. So in the supplement, the addendum called Miscellaneous Studies Toward the Cult of Odin, it's a question of why Odin's horse Sleipnir has 8 legs. Have you heard of Sleipnir, the horse of Odin, Wotan? He's supposed to have 8 legs, and there's all sorts of reasons for it. Sometimes horses are born with 8 legs. After Chernobyl, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in Russia, a horse foal was born with 8 legs, a malformed horse. And of course we find this eerie, scary, right? But the horse Sleipnir serves a purpose in Norse mythology, namely, he is the horse who carries his deceased rider to hell, to the other world. Not necessarily hell, but to the other world. He is also called a hell horse sometimes. Hell is a Christian concept, by the way. The Germanics would have believed in Valhalla, Valhall, right? But I had another suggestion, and I was wondering, can you imagine the following? You have a battlefield with cavalry, and you are a horse rider, a warrior. Maybe you're shooting with bow from a horse or so, right? You get shot in the back, you die on your horse, but your harness, your horse harness, holds you in place. So you basically slump forward on your horse. You die, but your limbs are dangling to the sides of the horse, and now the horse rides off away from battle, carrying his dead rider. Now, how would that look like? You would have a normal horse with 4 legs, and then the dead human on top of it, dangling his 4 limbs. Then you have 4 extra limbs, right? So a four-legged horse, could it be a four-limbed horse, meaning suggesting it's a horse with a dead rider still hanging on top of it, racing away from the battlefield toward the other world, to death, to heaven, to Valhalla. Right? So anyway, I thought that was my interpretation of the possibility why Odin's horse Sleipnir may or may not have had 8 legs. Hello, how are you doing? You need to pray to Trump? I don't trust Trump anymore since the H-1B visa scandal blew up, man. If Trump and Musk's idea of helping Americans is by replacing white lawyers with Indian lawyers because they're cheaper, replacing McDonald's managers with Indian managers because they're cheaper, that is the death of your society, because it means that the majority of people, white people are still majority in the USA, won't be able to afford their mortgages anymore. They will have to sell up and how do you say, move to a smaller house to afford their bills and so on. That is not exactly the Trump I would have wanted to have. It's nice, of course, that the American people voted against wokeness. But on the other hand, I would feel deeply betrayed. If I wear a MAGA hat, I would be deeply betrayed by this H-1B visa scandal, man. I would be deeply betrayed by it. No, I'm not against Christianity. I support Christianity totally. I'm a Roman Catholic Christian. But my ancestors were Germanics, of course, who believed in Odin. So I think it's perfectly normal to understand my ancestors and what they believed in. So, will you be on any other platform if TikTok is banned? Yeah, I'm on X, Twitter X, at JohannesMKX. And I'm also on RedNote, but I don't know if I will post there a lot. It's more for Chinese people, right? Although I thought RedNote is an interesting app, yeah. I'm also on Instagram at TheGreatJMK. Hi, Islam is a large religion, but it's not the fastest growing religion. Do you know which one is? The Amish in the USA are the fastest growing ethnic religious group. They double every so many years. Fastest growing. But of course the Amish are not a very large group, so that's a bit of a difference. Eh? I don't know what groupers are. You love the Amish, yeah, me too. I love their style. I don't want to be an Amish, but I definitely love the way they seem to base their society on competence, and they bring different skills together to rapidly build each other's houses. Where, like, imagine neighbors helping each other build their house, so you don't need money to do it, or very little money. Basically, all you need is the materials, but then the labor is free, right? Because in turn, you would also donate your skills to your neighbor when he needs his roof fixed or something, right? So that's very interesting, yeah. What do I think of Martin Luther, the reformer, the German reformer? I understand his motives. He was complaining against the Catholic Church, basically extorting people, right? If you wanted to go to heaven, you could buy what was called, I don't know the name in English, an aflaat. In Dutch it's called an aflaat. An indulgence. I think the word is indulgence. You could buy an indulgence and your sins would be forgiven. You could go to heaven. And it became a bit of a scam, and that's what Martin Luther railed against. So I like that very much, yeah. Do you mean Mexicans and Indians become Amish? No, the Amish just have a lot of children. The Amish are the fastest growing ethnic religious group in the world because they have a ton of children. They have a lot of children. 7, I think on average 7 per woman almost there in their community. So that's why they grow they grow so hard. They grow so quickly, so fast. Yeah. Like I said, during my introduction, I have a small little post-it note cheat sheet about 6 topics or so that I thought I wanted to discuss, while I also interact with you. But before we start, you see, what's this thing? It's a mouthpiece for a trumpet. I bought a trumpet about a month ago. It's a 2,000 euro trumpet, but I didn't pay that amount. I paid 200 for it because it was a secondhand off of Marketplace, and I am I feel a little bit stressed about it because I am trying to play the trumpet, and the idea is you need to learn to buzz this mouthpiece, and I can't do it. I feel so terribly disappointed. Why can't I do it? I've been practicing for several hours, or an hour here, 5 minutes there. When I have time, right? So I try to buzz the mouthpiece, and I just can't do it. But I'm not going to give up. I promise you, at some point, I can't say when, but I promise you, I will learn to play the trumpet, and then when I do, I'm going to play you da 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 da. Because that's why I bought it. All right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna give it a try. It's gonna sound really weird because I can't do it, right? I don't even know if that's right. Anyway, if there are any trumpet players in my audience, if you know more about what I do wrong, it's hard. I'm going to need a lot of practice to get this right, but eventually I'm going to try to play the trumpet for you once I get the hang of it, and that could take a long time. But I just want you to know I'm not giving up, right? Someone asks, Gigi D'Agostino, yeah, exactly. Africa right now is not a world power. You're not even united. The world powers are the USA, China, and Russia at this moment, and everybody else is just dealing with them. What do you think of certain hat involvement in replacing white people? I would acknowledge it, but at the same time, why are so many of our people so extremely, ludicrously naive to allow any of this to happen? And I think it's because of money. We are addicted to money. Our whole culture is based on money. And so we end up just pursuing whatever strategy we think makes more money. And one of the things that happens to make money is when you bring in low-cost workers to replace higher-cost workers. And then you can also raise because of higher demand, you can also raise the prices for real estate. So there's people, our own people are also involved in this. And that's what I find unacceptable, because that's treason. I don't like treason. China and Russia are allied, yeah, but allied to what extent, Only for as long as it serves China. It's not like these kinds of alliances, they don't last forever, Same with NATO and Europe. Will that alliance really last forever, US and Europe? For now, Europe does what the US tells us to do, but will it be like that forever? Absolutely not. Everybody knows it will end there. You're Jim from New York. Nice to meet you, yeah. Yeah, there's a Dutch party called the Forum for Democracy, FVD. And I also don't think they'll save the Holland. They will never win the power. They will never be allowed to. So I'm going to go rattle off my topics and while I keep interacting with you, okay? So I was interested in this notion of the work ethic. Often it is spoken of the Protestant work ethic. Also, Catholics may claim to the work ethic, right? We have the better work ethic than you, right? And it's a bit of a complicated topic. What I wanted to introduce to you here is, assuming it is true that there is a disparity of work ethic, say, comparing North Europeans to Southern Europeans, for example. Would you, if I would ask you, would you believe that Germans are harder working people than Spaniards? This is quite sensitive of a topic, right? But there are people who believe it. And the same with, if you would say, do Europeans work harder than Central Africans, right? So there's people who believe that. And all I was doing was trying to figure out if there could be any truthful basis to it. And why would it be so? If it is so, why would it be so? So that's my question. That's what I'm interested in knowing. And I was watching a video today about a man explaining why humans don't hibernate in the winter. Why don't white people in Northern Europe, in Sweden or Norway, why don't we hibernate? Why don't we sleep for 3, 4, 5 months on end during the wintertime? Because there are primates who do hibernate. And of course, bears hibernate. But here's something very interesting. Polar bears don't. Did you know that? Black bears hibernate. Brown bears hibernate. But polar bears don't hibernate. Of course, they do sleep, but polar bears are active all year round, always hunting, always on the prowl. They don't hibernate. Why is it so? And why don't humans hibernate? It turns out when it comes to energy conservation, which is why you hibernate. You hibernate in the winter because it's cold. It's cold and it's hard to find food. So you want to crawl into your lair and just snuggle up, be warm, and then just fall asleep for 3 months so that when you wake up, there will be food to hunt for, right? Now, why is it so? And the guy from the video I was watching, a TEDx video, he explained it as follows. There's a spectrum. On one side of the spectrum, you have, this spectrum is about what do you do, how do you respond to lack of energy? The one side, the sleepy side, meaning the hibernating side, says, we want to hibernate to conserve energy so we don't have to expend too much energy in a low energy environment. And then we wake up when the spring comes, right? On the other end of the spectrum, the logic is very different. It goes like, no, we want to stay awake to learn to master our environment so that we can generate fuel and food for ourselves by being awake. And that is a sort of a choice that you can make also as a human being. I would say if there is a disparity in the work ethic between North Europeans, say, and Central Africans, and if we assume that North Europeans work harder, it's not just because we're from a colder climate where moving around keeps you warm. You also have to generate the fuel and the food to keep fueling that body, right? And it comes down to making that decision. Do you decide to be a master of your environment? Do you choose to become a master of the physical world, of the natural world, and put in the energy and effort in order to win greater rewards from it? If you make that decision, you're going to have a higher work ethic. Whereas if you make the other decision where it's more about, I just want to, get my money back as quickly as possible and then go to sleep, I don't need to be a master. See, the thing with hibernating animals is they effectively decide to become part of nature. They're not masters of nature because they're asleep. Nature consumes them or assumes them. They, for a temporary period of a few months, become part of the landscape effectively. They're just lying there doing absolutely nothing, right? And I think this, in my view, is the road to supremacy. So someone asked where you can find this article. It was a TEDx video. You can look up something about humans hibernating, and there's a TEDx video in English about this topic. We're not animals, but not all animals hibernate. There are animals living in the cold, like polar bears, who don't hibernate. So for us, the question is, why did we humans choose the other strategy of staying awake, staying active, and generating greater benefits through our activity? And I think that is because human beings are obviously special. We are not animals. We are special in the sense that we, par excellence, are the beings that choose mastery over our surroundings. This is our default principle. We always choose to master our world, our environment, the physical world. So we come up with science and with religion and with other branches of thought, philosophy, to help us grasp the world and then master it. And this mastery, I think, can become a guiding principle for the new civilization that I have in mind. Because I don't believe this money-based cult that we are living in now is going to last forever. The money-based cult, I think, is going bankrupt. Eventually, there will be like a crash, like a Bitcoin crash, but then for the whole economy. And then what do we turn to next, though? It has to be competency and mastery. Our aim, the aim for the new world is mastery. We shall master the environment no matter what happened to it. No matter how hard the crash. It doesn't matter, right? Someone asks, George Lincoln Rockwell or Francis Parker Yockey? I would be more in tune with Yockey, probably. Although, of course, I enjoy both of them, reading and listening to them. Yeah. A squirrel has sense enough to save his nuts, yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're notifying viewers that I'm live. Thank you, TikTok. What about that? Sheinbaum. I don't know this author. Is that an author or something? I don't know about him. All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to tell you about the work ethic. You know, I've come to notice something because I'm a noticer, right? And our ruling elites, the billionaire class, as you might describe them, they have a vested interest in lying to the people. If they can make you believe something that makes you think you need to buy a solution that they sell, right? So they create the problems in order to sell. I was watching a whole video about L'Oreal. Do you know that company, the French company, L'Oreal? It sells women's beauty products for their skin and so on. And there's this claim going on around TikTok that almost all of these skincare products don't do anything at all. They're just oily things that you can put on your skin, but it don't actually affect your skin, doesn't improve your skin, but in all likelihood it does do some hormonal damage to you. So the thing about companies like L'Oreal, it's the biggest beauty company in the world, is they spend most of their money not on R&D, research and development, but on marketing. And they have paid content creators right here on TikTok telling you what is right and wrong, even buying scientists and so on. And that's when I realized, watching that, I realized, okay, you see, once you are a very established, rich billionaire company, you start spending most of your money on marketing to get people to keep buying your products and to keep the competition away. And one thing you definitely don't want is you don't want ordinary citizens, civilians, in their spare time calling you out on your bullshit products that don't really solve the problem. That is what creates a rift between the rich and the common people. We consume the news, but the news is provided to us by rich people. They own the newspapers and the news channels, and they own the apps, Facebook, Meta, they own Instagram. TikTok is owned by ByteDance. What is the purpose, the mission statement of ByteDance? What do they really want to do now? I'm on TikTok and I say TikTok by and far is the platform that gives me, it's a balance between reach and freedom of speech. I get the most reach for acceptable freedom of speech. If I watch my words and use proper phrases, I get away with almost everything I want to say. I just can't say the N word, right? Or things like that. I just call them tropical tourists or something. Right, so you change your words a little bit. Instead of killing people, you talk about unaliving people on TikTok, right? And so that way, I love the TikTok platform. But what is its motive? What are they trying to do with it? I don't know. The elite interests always go against those of the people. If you are a real estate billionaire and you own, I don't know, thousands of houses or something or more, you own entire towns in terms of buildings, you're renting them out to people, it's in your interest to just keep increasing the profits. You don't really care about how well people are doing, right? So we live in a society where money is the dominant idea, and you can't go against it because you'll be bankrupted. You won't be able to buy food, you can be a bum, right? So if the choice is to have a job or to be a bum, you will accept having a job even though there's also billionaires who have you have to accept financial inequality to be part of this system. And that's why I was thinking, is there no way to go against the elite interests, right? Is there no way that we can all accept perhaps that the rich are lying to us, the politicians are lying to us, the academia is bought, they work for budgets, they work for funding, so they're not telling you the truth either. Although there is the citizen journalism, right? There are independent journalists, but they are muzzled, right? They're told to shut up. And when the girls from Rotherham, for example, now grown women, come forward to tell their story, the media and the police call them to tell them to shut up. Don't talk about this, right? You're stirring up racial hatred. Wow. And I'm in this position where I get to think about as a philosopher, quote unquote, right? I'm thinking about what on earth are our people's possibilities now to go against the elite interests, that we will free our people, our common people, the normies, normal citizens, from the constant barrage of lies that they are fed with. It's just overly shocking. We just can't do this anymore, right? Hello from the UK. Yeah. You got censored today on TikTok, really? Okay. And you want some Imperium of Europe. Yeah. Oh, that's Yaki, right? Imperium, right? We're being silenced every day, yeah. It is hard to talk. Oftentimes on Twitter, when I get censored nowadays, it's for something that doesn't deserve censorship at all. It's just something totally irrelevant. Like the other day, like I could be talking about depression and how I solved my depression without using medication, and I get censored for that. It doesn't make sense because I think the algorithms are too sensitive, right? I already answered the question. Yeah, I said Yaki over Rockwell. So I don't think economic inequality is bad as long as everyone is treated the same. Yeah, yeah, that's the problem. I would accept financial inequality on the condition that rich people do not get to enter politics. Only poor people should be allowed in politics. Get it? So that the common people will have the power over the economic life and over the social life, so that we can have healthy systems that support us, that make us mentally and physically better, well off, rather than what we have today, you know? Yeah, the censorship at this point is harassment and discouragement. It is experienced about, yeah. So TikTok recently did do something about their algorithm. They won't always give you an outright strike anymore. They would rather hide your content from the For You page. They're a bit sneaky about this because you have to go into your analytics for your video to see that your video has been hidden from the For You page. It's a bit sneaky the way they do it. But yeah, I think TikTok has noticed that their censorship is so extreme that content creators, if they don't have a thick skin and if they're not super determined like I am, then they won't do it. They will leave the platform. They won't post anymore. Exactly. That is a big problem. So TikTok, I think, is trying to manage that. Okay, we want to have super censorship, but we don't want to lose all the content creators because then we lose all the viewers, right? The thing is that controversial content is what does best on this platform, I've noticed. You have to be controversial. But then they punish that. They punish you for being controversial, right? Okay, I'm going to move my cell phone a little bit further away from me. Hold on. I had some lighting on the table, all right. You love my work, yeah, thank you very much. My English is very good for a Dutch guy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, I've been practicing speaking like this for almost 5 years now. So, and I learned to speak English when I was a kid. I think before age 10, I could speak some basic English. What do you think of America banning TikTok? I don't know if it's real. If they really ban it, I don't think people will go back to Instagram. They're just going to move on to Red Note or something, an actual Chinese app. Yeah. No, nobody's going back to Facebook, right? I quit using Facebook a long time ago. Wouldn't know what to do with it at this point, really. In Facebook, you were always trapped in circles, familiar circles and groups and so on, right? You could never really, like on Twitter, it's international, of course. But on TikTok, it's more visual with audio and video, right? And I like the open approach to it, because the open approach for me is the way to find my mutuals. I've made friends on this app. I would never have met those on Facebook or so, right? Never. But here I was able to find them because the algorithm. Have to admit, the TikTok algorithm is so good. It shows me what I want to see and things that are outside of my bubble of comfort, and still shows me some of those things as well, and that keeps me interested in the app, right? Someone asks in Dutch if there will be a war in Europe. There will be a war. We will be required to go to war against Russia in Ukraine. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to draft us into the military in the Netherlands. They're just going to do that anyway. Huh? That actually gets me to the next topic. I had a bunch of topics on my post-it, right? The mythical far right. Now I have to watch my words, because if you say words like that too often on TikTok, you are hidden from the For You page. My point is that the mythical far right that they always talk about, that is supposed to be some major threat in Europe, in European countries and in the US, Australia, isn't really there. That's why I said mythical. It's a myth. I've noticed, I've been looking for some club to join, some organization, some outfit to be a part of. And all I could find was either very, very small outfits with 5 people, or you have outfits that are obviously run by the secret services. What I mean by that is, imagine secret services starting a right-wing club, a fight club, a boxing club, for example. You join it, you become a member, that means you expose your bank account, your email address, your cell phone perhaps, your face, your name. And then they have your credentials and they start tracking you. They start tracking, what do you say online? What is this guy saying in the closed Telegram groups that were set up by the Secret Service? What's he saying on TikTok? What's he saying on YouTube? And then they know, at some point, they know all about you. And if they feel they have a case, they will drag you to court. I think a lot of these right-wing clubs are doing that. They are set up by secret services or the government, for example, with the intention of luring in guys who are susceptible to the right-wing belief systems, right? Uncle H, for example. You're reading Uncle H, right? You're reading the mustache man's books. They start tracking you, and before you know it, they have a sort of profile of you, and you said this on Twitter and you said that on Telegram, and therefore we're dragging you to court. And I think that's what's going to happen there. Honeypots, exactly, yeah. Those are honeypots, yeah. Please, guys, this is my English account, so I don't do Dutch language live streams anymore, so please ask me questions in English so other people can also see what you're talking about, right? Yeah, I've also seen a lot of Red Note commercials on this app. So maybe TikTok is trying to send people to Red Note because, you know, they're serving the same interest, maybe. Yeah. Right, there's no right wing anywhere. Exactly, right. So, right, actually I would say every other opinion that differs from the mainstream is considered far right nowadays. And I was reading an article about the far right in the Netherlands today. And the journalists and the judges and the lawyers, they're all very, very, very upset about the fact that there are some men, like 10 in the Netherlands, who have these beliefs and they keep them after years. So meaning years later, they still have those beliefs. They're very worried about this, which I thought was so absurd. It's not the government's job to get people to believe the same thing. As a government, you're supposed to manage, basically accept the fact that people have different beliefs and then be above that, basically be better than that, be bigger than that as a government, right? That you are above all the opinions. But the government apparently sides with the far left or with the mainstream left, and then they accuse everyone else of being a radical or an extremist, right? Or a terrorist, right? And that is so wrong. That is so wrong. Government should be magnanimous, allow people to have differences of opinion, and allow those people, if they put it in graffiti, you can fine them for the graffiti, but not for the content, right? Right? So I understand you're not supposed to soil your environment. I like some graffiti, not all of it. But imagine it this way. If I rented a plane to drag one of those banners that they can drag through the sky and have something like White Lives Matter on it, maybe I should not go to jail for that. Maybe I should not be fined for that even, because White Lives Matter, why shouldn't I be allowed to express myself with that phrase? And this is actually forbidden in the Netherlands. I think if you have stickers or something with White Lives Matter on it, you're considered a far-right extremist and you risk getting like 80 hours of community sentence in the Netherlands or something like it. Or someone in the Netherlands said he believed that Jews were behind the slave trade and that white people eventually abolished the slave trade. He said something like this. He got 80 hours community service for saying that. And then today I looked up a book. There's a Dutch book that you can get from our libraries, our regular libraries. You can you can borrow this book from the library, and it says that in the book too. And I'm wondering, like, how come this book is allowed in the libraries, but if you say it on Twitter, you get 80 hours community service sentence? That's bizarre, man. That's why the government needs to keep its hands off of people's opinions. The government should be magnanimous, and lawyers and judges basically should accept that they're not smart enough to judge people's thoughts, right? So don't do that. Now, if I punch you in the face and I call you a Jew, of course I go to jail because I punch you in the face, right? That's understandable. But if I call somebody a Jew, just like that, just on TikTok, I call somebody a Jew, why would you go after me with legal effort? That is nonsense. We need to allow people to say what they want to say without the fear or the threat of legal action. Otherwise, you can't even have a democracy. Then what the hell is this? This is a totalitarian system. You know, imagine I was in power and I would start jailing everybody who is a leftist who wants, say you are somebody who wants to be in the LGBT community and you start saying things to promote that. What if I jailed you? It's the same thing. You don't want that either, do you? No. Yeah, I from Ireland. Yeah, Ireland for the Irish, Netherlands for the Dutch, Europe for Europeans. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You were friends with Janet Oosterbard. I don't know who that is. All right. Freedom from a broken system. Absolutely. All right. I had some more to talk about. Oh, yeah. It's more related to Elon Musk and so on. You know, after the European colonialism, where we discovered the world, they get really angry about this when you use the word discovered because they were there, right? Yes, but we were the ones who made first contact. And the Europeans went to Central Africa to make contact, right? And then we made contact with everyone around the world. So you can call that discovery. That's how I would call it. The age of discovery. At some point, we run out of new continents to discover. And that's when Europeans start fantasizing about space exploration, about foreign worlds, foreign resources, meaning otherworldly resources to exploit and find, right? And that means that we were, at some point in our culture, the Western white culture, we got so culturally used to the fact that there was always going to be another continent to explore, like Australia and then Latin America, right, and so on. And eventually realized that this is done, but our fantasies, our imaginations about foreign peoples and foreign worlds continues. And that's why we have Star Trek and Star Wars, you know, and things like that, right? We discovered the roundness of the world. Yeah, perhaps we did, huh? All right. And that has me thinking, are we really going to explore space? Right? The asteroid belt, for example, could be full of resources. Mars and the moon and Venus. Right? Is it economically viable to do so? Right? Hold on, there's a bad actor. I don't get these people, man. What's wrong with you? All right. Can we really do space exploration as a human race? Is it economically viable? Is it something we are going to do? What if we go there and it's a tremendous cost and a tremendous effort to go to Mars, and we find that there's just nothing really of value there? No gold, no diamonds, right? All right. Yeah, is there a firmament? Look, I'm not the expert. All I know is what science told me, right? Is there this limitation? Yeah. So personally, I don't believe they went to the moon, but I did a video about that already. It's a whole nother topic. I think they faked it. They staged it. It's just not real. But the fiction, and so here's where Elon Musk comes in. The fiction of almost infinite other worlds where we can go and travel to and get the resources and keep growing our economy. That is a very, very powerful story to tell people that could motivate people to keep working hard. We'll go through this phase of economic inflation and decline, but we will emerge as a spacefaring nation or something, right? That's the marketing angle of Elon Musk, really. Yeah, Elon Musk wants to limit flee the limits of growth. Yeah, in a way. This brings me to the Musk Enigma. Have you noticed how much Elon Musk spends on Twitter X? How much does he spend on podcasts? How much time does he spend in talking on podcasts? How much does he travel? Right? Do you really believe he's the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla? See, I don't. I think those companies are managed by other people who are much more knowledgeable. And I get the impression that Elon Musk is a sort of a puppet on a string, like he's Pinocchio, or he's like a rock star entrepreneur, and he has a team of people who manage him, and they prop him up to be like the great spacefaring leader or something, and everybody buys into it, falls into it. But in the end, what if that is just a marketing scam, right? I fear that this may be possible. Yeah, the water's above there. Yeah, controlled opposition. Yeah, just another puppet. Yeah. Wait, somebody asked me an interesting question here. Are you worried about the Trump-Musk administration? Yeah, because I think they don't care about people. They care about money. They're just globalists who care about money. They really don't care about the white middle class or something, or saving white people or something. No, if Musk could make more money by flooding Europe with Indians, he would do that. He's just another globalist. He's just a globalist with a different angle that appeals to the right-wing populace. But I don't believe that Musk cares about the Germans or something. So Musk did an interview with Alice Weidel of the Alternative for Germany. I don't trust her either. I don't think they care about us anyway. There is nobody in politics who cares about the survival of our people. And so when you talk about the survival of your people, of our European type people, they call us racist. Even Musk would call us racist, right? He did. Actually, Elon Musk called us racist for the fact that we didn't want 1 million H-1B visa Indians into the USA, right? So that is really shocking, right? Hey, you read my book, Revival of the West? That's awesome, huh? Any new books coming out soon? Not soon. I do have a draft folder with like several books that I'm working on. But writing books is hard and it doesn't make me money. So writing a book could take me a year from like the idea, writing it, and then editing it. I'd spend a whole year doing that sometimes, right? It consumes so much mental energy. You can't really do much else when you write a book. And I'd love to write more books, but I also found that speaking is better. I reach way more people speaking. But yeah, if I ever had like a book deal and I get paid for publishing another book, I'll definitely do. Although I do have to admit, I have like maybe 2 or 3 books that are kind of almost finished. I might publish them if I feel good about them, but then the editing part can take another year, right? To edit it well, and so that's why I think I will publish some more books in the future, but I would not say soon, not soon. No. I went through this process in my life where I was writing mostly all the time. I was writing articles and writing blog posts. This was way before TikTok, right? And I'm writing speeches, and then I write books, right? I spent a lot of years writing books, and then I kind of switched. In my view, it was like a progressive development of myself towards speaking more. And then I began doing scripted speeches and podcasts, and then I started speaking live and doing my TikTok and so on. So I kind of evolved into the speaking thing through writing. Writing definitely helped me improve my thinking ability. Yeah. So writing is a very important skill if you want to be a speaker. You have to write well to think well, and think well to speak well, right? What platform would I continue to use? I'm in Europe, so I'll stay on TikTok. And I will use Twitter X. I will use Instagram for some things. YouTube, I'm also on YouTube at The Great Johannes. On YouTube, I will repost this live. I usually repost my live streams onto YouTube as well, so then you can go there. All right, I answered somebody's question before seeing it, apparently. Okay. Yeah. The connection is good, yeah. Let's talk about black materialism for a bit. There was this video again on YouTube. By the way, yeah, I am on Red Note. I think the username is the same at The Great JMK. I posted one short video saying something like "Niemand hao wo sing Johannes," Johannes, as a joke. I might. Do you people use Clapper? The Clapper app? It's still quite popular, right? Maybe people will go to Clapper or Red Note, right? I am also on X at JohannesMKX. Yeah. You nicknamed it Crapper. But are some people watching now? You're from the US. You think that they're really gonna ban it? Is the ban real? It's pretty shocking. If it were real, man, I wouldn't want to. No, I wouldn't want to. Wouldn't want to be in your position. It's a bit odd. The land of the free. You invented freedom of speech, man. You had like the First Amendment, and you're the ones banning TikTok, and we don't even do that in Europe. It's quite heavy. I have not heard of any talk in the EU ban TikTok. No, I think they were talking about banning Telegram because Telegram has these closed groups, right? Private groups, and that's a problem. The secret services, they want to be able to read everything, right? They don't like private groups. Oh, Clapper has tech issues. Okay. Fog is back. Yeah, we have fog here in the Netherlands as well. I actually enjoy foggy weather. It makes everything a bit gloomy, but maybe, I don't know, it makes me feel all right. I like the gloomy, cold darkness in Europe. I mean, after all, our ancestors moved here for a reason, right? They moved here because they were willing and capable of dealing with this kind of dark depression, right? So I think it's part of our character. We should just embrace the weather, yeah? Just embrace it. Yeah? I like the fog, yeah, because of the way that the lights in the buildings and so come out of it. Yeah. Politicians want to be able to invest and profit and control the speech on TikTok. Oh yeah. I think the real reason why the US wants to ban TikTok is because too many people became pro-Palestinian on this app organically. TikTok didn't do that, but it was organic. And the Zionists in charge of the USA really don't want this. They want to have, what do they want? Yeah. They are so incredibly afraid that something might happen to Israel. This is their primary concern almost. It also signals a weakness in Israel. If you're that afraid of tiny little bits of criticism harming Israel, then that's not exactly a viable state, that is it, right? Yeah, we must secure a future for our children, our white children. Yeah, of course we have to do that. But that does not make me a white supremacist. That just makes me a white man. That's it, you know. I hope this is clear. You don't have to be a white supremacist to care about your people existing in the future. My God, that is normal. That is absolutely normal for everybody. Every people in the world wants their people to live on. Come on. You love the smell in the air after rainfall when walking over English fields. Okay, I get what you mean, though. We have that in the Netherlands too, of course. Yeah. I'm not allowed to comment on certain things because by law I could go to jail in the Netherlands, but that tells you enough, right? It's not my job to take care of African children. Why should I know better how to raise African children? I don't know that. Let the Africans take care of their future and we take care of our own. Otherwise, you're just promoting globalism and universalism, which I find absolutely disgusting and despicable. There should be difference in the world. Different people living in different places, speaking different languages, having a different culture, imagining their own unique future. I think that's completely normal. To go against that would be genocide, in my view. So you're in New England in the US and it's also gloomy there. Okay. What a coincidence. Eh? But you don't have to kill other children. No, you don't have to kill other children. But then don't mass migrate into our cities and make us the minority in our own countries that we built for ourselves. You know, that's a bit of a problem, right? Then we're getting into a fight. But it's not us who caused this fight. Even at the heyday of colonialism in India, white people were just 3% of India. Today, white people are like 37% of London or less, right? It's really extreme. No, less. It's like 38, 28 or something. 28% of London is white. Native, meaning native British white. Wow, that's just insane. It's just like a bomb went off and it killed all the white people. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not kill our children, right? Let's start standing up for our children. Almost a remake of the Tower of Babel, it seems they want. Yeah, well. Hello from Kenya. All right, so you have good internet connection over there, though, now. Wonderful. Yeah, but there are reasons for that. Yeah, and white people are also colonized a lot of places. No, we improved places. See, we didn't colonize anything. How's that even possible? Yeah? We improved places. We're not getting the gratitude for it. It's a bit of a weird thing. We never get gratitude for what we did, you know. Yeah, white people didn't do anything to Native Americans. Your economies were dying, and that's why the white people were able to take over, because you were starving effectively. Your whole food supply system didn't work very well, right? Because you were hunter-gatherers and so on, right? And don't blame white people for introducing agriculture. It's the reason why you exist today. So no, you have to thank us for the fact that you can read and write in English. So otherwise, go back to speaking your own language and do away with our alphabet. I don't call you a colonizer for using our alphabet. Why didn't the Netherlands make Indonesia speak Dutch? I don't know. Was it necessary? See, we were a small minority there. We never became a majority in your country, so. You know. Do you know about the buffalo? No. What was Spanish Holland like? I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't born yet. The Netherlands, my country, the Netherlands, was colonized or conquered by the French, by the Spaniards, by the Germans. We've been at war with the English and the Danes. We were conquered by the Holy Roman Empire, effectively. And probably even we came under threat from the Mongol hordes that almost reached us as well. So anyway, yeah, we've been conquered ourselves too. So I don't really think about that every day. So it's not really important, you know. All right, I think I'm going to try to keep talking for another 30 minutes or so to get to 9 p.m. over here. It's 8:30, a bit over 8:30 over here. See if I can speak more. Yeah, white people need people who speak up for them. Absolutely, that's the point, right? It's the natural order. The strong always dominate over the weaker and lesser. I agree with that, but I would say it a bit differently. I would say those who learn to master reality will also end up mastering others who don't. I would see it in that way, because it's about competence, right? It's not just about being muscular or strong. You have to be smart, you have to be visionary, right? You have to have all these other skills as well, the organizational skills. So it's mastery. The masters will rule the servants, right? All Europe countries notice a pattern, yeah, maybe. Thoughts on Greenland? Yeah, Greenland apparently has a ton of valuable natural resources buried underneath its ice and soil. And it's weird that Europe would just sell that to the US for the cheap. There's a problem with leadership in Europe. European leaders seem to be serving the US, and that means we're harming ourselves. We would be worse off when we give away Greenland and we give away what next? Iceland or something. Europe is what the hell is Europe at this point? European leadership is so weak. They're just serving foreign masters, and I obviously go against this. I have a vision of a Europe becoming a sort of empire of its own, a Christian, perhaps Catholic, because most Europeans are Catholic. I know in the US most white Christians are Protestant, but in Europe most white Christians are Catholic. So we might be a Catholic empire, and we might have what we need in Europe is the right to fight for ourselves and to say to the US, we're not going to give up Greenland. We're going to exploit Greenland's resources for ourselves. We need them. We're not going to give them away. If Trump is serious about annexing Canada and making Canada part of the US, and I'm thinking, well, why don't we Europeans do that? Why don't we just recolonize Canada and make it part of Europe or something, part of the EU? Why don't we do that? Then Canada will be EU territory, and then we exploit the North Pole or whatever. Right? Like there should be, what I think there should be is this healthy competition between the US and Europe that presently isn't there. It's very one-sided at the moment. Yeah. Really, the far right started being mentioned when Labour won in the UK, yeah. Because, you go against their socialist policies. This was so shocking after the Southport killings and what happened in Rotherham for decades, right, and other places. It's only when you started talking about it that they start calling you right-wing. It's just insane, man. Dutch guy, yeah. You love my videos? What kind of music am I listening to nowadays? I personally listen to synthwave music, synth pop and synthwave. And I don't really I used to listen to trance music when I was younger, but I got bored of it. I switched to listening to synthwave, yeah. Greetings from Croatia, all right. By the way, I have a music account on here. I also produce music in my spare time, right? It's called at thejmk.music on here on TikTok. You may see it if I repost it sometimes. It's not Trump, but the New World Order elitists who are planning the New World Order map. Yeah. Well, I agree that Trump is not really the ideologue behind all of this. No, he's a president. He's a executive branch, but he doesn't really think of it himself. Yeah. Probably. Love you from Australia. All right. You're a good man. Well, so are you, man. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Yeah, Greenland. What I think why would Trump want Canada and Greenland? Well, that way the US would have a direct border with the North Pole, and then you could start making legal claims for the resources buried underneath the ice and underneath the soil of the North Pole. There could be gas and oil there. So it's just about more wars for oil. That's just what it is again. All right. Yeah, the majority of Greenlanders are for being part of America, you think? Or no? Yeah. As a European, I want Greenland to stay part of Europe. So do you think our politicians secretly dislike the small hats and are just acting under duress? No. They are them or work for them. They absolutely do not dislike them, especially in Europe, yeah. But you have to, yeah. There's oil in the Falklands, really? Whoa, wait for the US to come in then. Where am I from? I'm from the Netherlands and I live in the Netherlands. I just learned to speak English very well, so I can make myself heard around the world. That's why Argentina wants the Falklands back. All right, all right. All right. All right. I had a little dead moment here while I'm thinking about what should I talk more about. Maybe I'll just scroll through your comments or so. Otherwise, this always happens to me. After about an hour or so of talking, I just run out of things to talk about, and then I'll talk about other things later. Yeah. Right. No, yeah. Everybody has experienced atrocities indeed, yeah. I'm not a National Socialist. What am I? I'm a reactionary, probably. A reactionary. I don't think there's a word for what I am. I have visions for Europe that involve something, rebuilding something like the Holy Roman Empire. So I'm probably a Christian reactionary or so, or a religious reactionary. And what sort of political system would I want? I don't want a money-based system at all. So I would want a system where labor and intelligence and competency or mastery in general become the currency that we trade with each other. And I wonder how to do it. So that's what I think about. About my books, which one would I advise to read first? Well, I've written novels and also non-fiction. In terms of non-fiction, I would read Revival of the West. And in terms of fiction, Behold the Wanderer. Distributism, no, I've not looked into it, no. All right. Am I a bit more of a monarchist? Yeah, I do believe in aristocracy. We should have an aristocracy. We should have the division between the warrior class, the nobility, and the priestly class. And I feel that the priestly class, the religious people, should be in charge of a society. In the sense there should be a healthy morality that keeps people healthy. Did you know that the research proved this, that conservative people are more mentally healthy than liberal people, than atheistic people? And the reason is that even though you can say that religious morals are somehow a bit restrictive, that restrictiveness is what keeps people mentally and physically healthy. So it's necessary to have a morality that people do not corrupt so easily as we've done. I mean, I could almost cry. Like recently I watched the 1937 Snow White movie, the old cartoon by Disney, and I almost cried, not because of the story, but because of how intensely good it was compared to the garbage that Hollywood is throwing out now. It's like the difference between looking at something genuine and authentic and looking at vomit, right? That's how big of a difference it is. It's just shocking. What have we done in the Western world? We used to have one of the most pristinely authentic cultures, and we just threw it all away. For what? For diversity. Right. I have read Evola, but Evola is a bit far-fetched for me. I find it difficult to read Evola. Evola, Julius Evola. You agree with me, yeah. Thank you very much. All right. Do you see a way for Europeans to get along with Americans and Asians, or are they constantly in conflict? The white Americans and the white Europeans are basically cognitively, psychologically still connected. So we can definitely move together. And the next best thing would be to work with the East Asians, of course, the Japanese and East Asians, as a people, of course. But our governments will never form alliances, I think. Oh, you're from Albania? Everybody's white? Yeah, cool. Jonathan Bowden, excellent speaker, but he died, I suppose, and then his movement never really flourished, but it's a loss, man. Jonathan Bowden was I listened to his speeches about Nietzsche and so on. Incredible thinker, and Heidegger, yeah. Incredibly gifted orator. I wonder why he never had more influence than what he had. The Japanese, I think, have every right to save their culture, but then they should do it, right? They should stop eating soy and maybe start eating more red meat and do something about it. But the same is true for us in Europe, right? We need to stop eating sugar and start eating more protein, right? Yeah, our Bowden definitely was ahead of his time. Incredible oratory. Yeah, I read Revolt Against the Modern World and Riding the Tiger, so and also others, Heathen Imperialism and so on. What's the goal of immigration in Europe? I've spoken about this so many times, but it's partly because there's two things. There's a natural phenomenon that white people have aging populations, and you just want to bring in more consumers. But on the other hand, I think there are Jews who really believe in the Holocaust and they just want revenge. Part of it is just a revenge fantasy. Yeah. I love this comment. European diet should not be tropical fruit. Exactly. We should eat, cheese and yogurt, drink milk, and eat meat, red meat. That's supposed to be our diet, right? And we can have some blueberries or raw strawberries with it. Okay, no problem. But that's our diet, right? Our diet is a Nordic diet of meat and dairy, and some small sides. Like you can have some beans on the side, whatever, right? But definitely, we should not be drinking smoothies or something. That is not for us. Eat fruit and vegetables in season, yeah. So for me, in the Netherlands, what sort of fruits and vegetables do we have? It would be berries, blueberries, strawberries, and apples and pears maybe, but not much else, right? No bananas, no pineapples, nothing like that, right? No oranges. Yeah, but we can have beans, I guess, and roots and carrots, tomatoes. It's not a tasteless diet. It's actually extremely. I eat mostly meat and dairy, and it's incredibly tasty. I love drinking milk. I love yogurt. I can never have enough yogurt, so it's very tasty. I really don't. I actually don't like to eat too much tropical fruit anyway. So it's too much sugar, man. I don't want that sugar in my brain. Yeah, you want me to tell you about Geert Wilders? Geert Wilders, but the guy's a Zionist, he's a traitor, he doesn't give a shit about his people. Are we even his people, Yeah. Well, I was baptized Roman Catholic, but I love the Germanic pagan stories, yeah. But what do you think I do? I go to the Church of Odin or something? No, that's nonsense. What happened in Europe is those places where they used to worship Odin as the god of death, that's where they put up Christian crosses with Christ on the cross. So Christ in our landscape, Christ replaced Odin in a way. And so there is that connection, of course. Odin as the god of death and Christ as the god who overcomes death. Is Wilders Jewish? I thought so. I thought his mom was Jewish. Yeah? He holidays in Israel, so what do you expect, And he has an Indonesian grandmother. Yeah, there's this weird stuff going on. I don't like it. That's why I think maybe we will come to this point in the future where we will say, if we have an overly diverse political system, then it's just not our legitimate system. They don't legitimately represent us. They represent other people. Then we can stop listening, right? Do you think we lost our sense of Europeanness by embracing a foreign religion? It's not a foreign religion. The New Testament was written in Latin in Rome, probably. So it's actually the story of overcoming death, right? So why is Christ's resurrection placed around the shortest day in Europe? late December, 21st or 25th December or so, right? That's when when in Europe the spring starts coming back, the days go longer again. So it's actually a very strange thing why people think that Christ is a Middle Eastern, is supposed to be of Middle Eastern origin. Clearly, Christ was from Europe, right? Because the whole Christ myth could not have been conceived by Mediterranean, or I mean by Middle Eastern people, because they don't have the winter there. No, it does. Here, someone says, as long as politicians want what's best for the country, then it doesn't matter that they're diverse. Yes, it does. It means that they're only catering to their own ethnic group, or they only care about money, which is even worse. We need people, we need leaders who stand up for ourselves. Yeah, yeah, Jesus is for Europe. Yeah. Well, Sweden is in Europe, right? Christ is the death of the sun, exactly, the death and the rebirth of the sun. But this is something you would see in Europe, not in Central Africa, where they don't have that. They don't have seasons in Central Africa, right? They don't have seasons in the Middle East that much. So Christ is definitely a European influence. No one does that, man. That's really naive. Diverse politicians in the Netherlands, they don't give a fuck about white people. They just want us dead and gone. Yeah, Geert Wilders doesn't actually close the borders. The borders are still open, so... I like Depeche Mode. Don't like ABBA. I don't know Belinda Carlisle. Ethno-states are the foundation for longevity and survival of one's people and culture. We have the right to do this. Look, if there were a patch of land somewhere that we could defend, that is fertile, that we could live on, we would have gone there already, right? We would not have been stuck in these diversitopia nightmares. Yeah, the right wing will replace us legally, right? The H-1B visa scam. They're just going to replace us legally. We have the right to decouple from this economic system if that happens. Then we simply accept that we will live as barbarians if we have to, but we will survive and thrive like the Amish and double our numbers every 5 years or so. We're just going to be very, very aggressive about, you know, our national birth politics, right? Birth rate politics. We're going to be very aggressive about this and make it even more important than making money, right? How do you say we go about winning if we can't win by voting? You have to have, yeah, you have to accept that if you have a warrior caste, if we can rebuild a warrior caste, that could potentially achieve our goals and do damage. But also, the collapse of the global economy, which is totally realistic, might happen. In such a scenario, we just take over by force, right? If the economy goes down, we just take over. Yeah. Change the diet. Put men on red meat. Yeah. Meat and milk. Meat and dairy. All right, I'm going to stop the live stream. You can re-watch the replay on YouTube at The Great Johannes. And I'll post it also on my newsletter, www.jmk.info. And I will be back next week. I will do this every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Amsterdam time. All right, then see you around, people.